Hey guys, what's up? I'm here with a review of an exploitation body horror film from 2015 from director Tom Six, the director of The Human Centipede and The Human Centipede 2, which I don't own as of yet. And tonight's movie is the final entry in the series, The Human Centipede 3 Final Sequence. So, a little background before I get into this review. I'm going to say this. I'm actually kind of a fan of the Human Centipede series. I saw the first one about a year after it came out initially, and this was like right when I started to get into disturbing cinema and stuff, and I heard about this movie, and I was really excited for it. And I watched it, and I will be honest, I was a little disappointed, and this movie is not disturbing at all to me. I do not find the first Human Centipede disturbing in any way. Then the second one came along and I watched it. That one was actually legitimately disturbing and gross, and it might be one of the just most disgusting films I've ever seen. I honestly, after rewatching it just a little bit ago, like a month or two ago, I honestly think it might make my top 10 most disturbing movies. But the first two movies got a lot of crap for being, well, the first one got a lot of crap for like being medically inaccurate and like just it being a stupid idea and it not being well executed at all. And I'll be honest, the first one I was kind of okay with. It's, you know, it's not too graphic, it's a little stupid, it's unintentionally funny at times, and I mean, yeah, it's definitely what I would call a midnight movie. It's become somewhat of a cult film over the years. And the sequel, I would definitely say, is better than the first one, even though the sequel is widely considered to be the worst one in the series. Well, now that the third one is out, the sequel got a, 35 out of 100 on Metacritic. The third one has a 1 out of 100 on Metacritic, which that means critics are hating this one more than they hated the previous entry in the series. And this movie has a lower average rating on IMDb than the first two. So this could either be the worst or the best in the series. And a lot of people hated them, and I can completely understand why you would hate these movies. And I can understand that these movies are not for everybody, but all I know about this third entry is that it's based in this prison. And this warden sees the movies, and he even says that everybody, from what I've heard, almost everybody in the movie says that the first two movies are terrible. And in this universe that the third one's based in, the first two movies were just movies. And Tom Six is indeed a real person in this universe, and even makes a cameo appearance, I've heard. But from what I've heard, everybody, even Tom Six, says that these movies are just crap, and and you can tell that and from what I've heard, you can tell that Tom Six knows that these movies are bad, and he honestly doesn't care. I'm really interested because the warden decides, hey, how about we take this idea and put all the prisoners in the same compromising position and see if this will make them behave. And from what I've heard, this movie has the characters in this movie are really ridiculous, and I'm really looking forward to it, and I really hope that I like it at least a little bit. I'll be honest, I like the first two, so there's a decent chance I'll like the third one in the series. But the only way I'm going to find out if I like the third one is if I shut up and I watch it. So without further ado, let's just watch The Human Centipede 3 Final Sequence. Okay, so again, guys, I'm sorry for the lighting situation. So the movie starts out with the ending of the second film, which actually ends with the main character of the second film, who stars in this film, watching the ending to the first movie. So it's getting really meta up in here. And the warden is actually watching it. The warden and his assistant, which the warden's played by the doctor from the first film, and the assistant is played by the crazy guy from the crazy main character from the second film. And they're watching it, and at this point we find out that the warden is a extremely racist, sexist asshole who doesn't care about like the safety of the prisoners or anything. He just like tortures them into obeying him. And they're basically, him and his assistant are talking about how they are going to be replaced if they don't fix the prison. And I mean, that's basically all that happens within the first like 15-20 minutes, but not 20 minutes, but by the time we heard like 20 minutes in, they get to a point where they're using boiling water in order to waterboard a prisoner. Yeah, boiling waterboarding. So, the acting in this movie is pretty bad all around, and the film has actually a very kind of cheap look to it, but in all honesty, the cheap look combined with the kind of shaky and at times like kind of bad, kind of funny, and well, kind of bad, funny, and sometimes a little bit clever writing, it really gives the film a nice like B-movie style. And the characters in this film are all kind of flat for the most part. And I'll be honest, I still liked most of the characters because of how insane and over the top they were. And the warden, even though he is a extremely racist, sexist asshole who is literally the son of a Nazi, who eats the deep-fried testicles of a inmate who he castrated in the film. I mean, that's how crazy this guy is, and he's crazy enough to the point that I can look past all the horrible things about him and just be like, I like this character. I like him because he's so insane, absolutely insane, and that's what I wanted from this film, for it to just be really over the top, and that's what I got. The camera work is pretty good here, the lighting is good, the music's good, the sound mix is good, really everything on a technical standpoint is pretty good. If this movie had two very strong standpoints, it would be the if it had two strong standpoints, it would be the effects, which are really good overall, with visual effects, gore effects, prosthetics, blood, all looks really nice, and the really offensive, over the top, just trying to shock for the sake of shock humor. So yeah. The movie is really over the top. It's really stupid, and I say that in a very nice way. It doesn't take itself seriously at all, and the movie is just offensive for the sake of being offensive. It's one of those films, and while some people do not like films that are, you know, offensive and shocking and gross and stuff for the sake of just being that way, I honestly like movies like that, for the most part. And the Human Centipede series is definitely a series that is known for that. And Tom Six is definitely a pretty good, like, modern shock film director. I mean, I would definitely say he's like the modern, and I mean this, I would definitely say he's probably the modern equivalent of John Waters, in the sense that his movies are usually hated by a lot of people, but they have a pretty decent-sized fan base still. But overall, it seems like people just don't like them. The humor in this movie is really dark and gruesome and messed up and gross, and it's, I mean, if you're a fan of really dark, politically incorrect, shock humor, stuff like, I mean, if you're like a fan of, like, I don't know, stuff like South Park, or maybe even some trauma stuff, you might be into how the writing is in this film. It's really just a really, like, gross movie. I mean, it's not like over-the-top gross. Like, it's not as gross as the second one, and it's a lot more gross than the first one. But I guess that's all there is to talk about. The pacing in the movie is also kind of cool, I guess. Also kind of good. You know, it has a pretty nice pace to it. It doesn't really get boring. I didn't think it was that boring. I read in some reviews that people thought the warden was very annoying as a character. I didn't find him very annoying. I liked the actor's over-the-top performance. Honestly, for me, it made the film. So, on the gore meter from 1 to 10, 1 being something like Nosferatu and 10 being something like Brain Dead, Human Centipede 3, the final sequence, is probably a 5. a solid 5. It really isn't super gory. It isn't as gory as the second one. It's definitely got a lot more violence than the first one. Honestly, all I think I really need to say is castrations. All I really need to say is castrations, surgeries, and eating dried, deep-fried clitorises. That's something that happens in this movie. Honestly, I think it's a really, I think this might just become, like, one of my favorite kind of tongue-in-cheek, like, really trashy horror films. I mean, not everybody's going to like it, obviously, and if you're a fan of the series, I even think fans of the series are hating on this one. And honestly, to me, this is probably my personal favorite out of the entire series. It's ridiculous, it's over the top, it's what Tom Six was going for. Because originally the idea for the film, which Tom Six even says this when he makes his appearance in the film, was he got the idea when he was talking to his friends about, like, punishments for certain types of criminals, and he said we should hook up like pedophiles and child molesters we should sew their mouths to the asses of, like, fat truckers and make them eat shit for the rest of their lives. That should be their torture. And that's how he came up with the idea for the films. And he originally wanted the films to be a comedy series, but he kind of messed that up because nobody wanted to see a comedy film about that. People wanted to see a horror film about people getting sewn ass to mouth. So in this one, it's a lot more of a comedy than it is a horror film, but I still really like it. It's personally my favorite movie in the series, and yeah, I'm definitely picking this one up when it comes out on DVD. Although it seems like everybody's hating it at this point, I honestly say if you're a fan of the series, go for it. If you're not, stay away. If you're looking for some really trashy B-movie horror, this is pretty good. And how they do the Centipede in this movie is actually different from how they did it in the first two movies. I'm not going to spoil how they do it in this one, but how they do it is actually really cool because it works with the prison system as well. And they have a version of the human centipede for people that get life in prison or the death sentence, and it's called the human caterpillar. And I'm not going to spoil what that is, but it was genuinely shocking, and it was probably the most disgusting and, dare I even say, disturbing thing about the film. So, overall, I'd probably have to give it a 4 out of 5, 8 out of 10. I mean, it's not a good movie in any classical sense, but I honestly thought it was really, really entertaining. I really liked it, and I don't know. I mean, I'm already gonna guess that I'm gonna lose a few subscribers for giving this film a pretty decent rating. So, yeah. So anyway, guys, if you liked the video, like my channel, be sure to like this video, favorite it, whatever you want, and maybe subscribe perhaps. I would really, really appreciate that. And check the links in the description below. There are links to things like my Tumblr, Twitter, all that, Facebook, all that is in the description below. Hey there, kids. Do you want to get cool stuff in the mail like this? Or this? Or even this? Well, then subscribe to Horror Block today. Have you ever wanted to do cool cosplays like this? Or even this? Well, now you can. Subscribe to Moonchild Cosplay on YouTube, and you can see all her tutorials on how to do cool stuff like this. Do you want to get cool horror and exploitation film t-shirts like this? Or this? Or this? Well, then go to RottenCotton.com to check out all of their premium t-shirts.